And welcome to my channel. Thank you guys for being here. So today we're going to learn about the summarized spoken text in a right way. So summarized spoken text is one of the most crucial or important module both for PTE academics and PTE core, and then it falls under listening module, right? So even though it is under listening module, it will contribute marks towards your listening as well as writing, because you need to listen to the audio and then you need to listen to the audio and then you need to write it down, right? So basically let's go like what are the broad things that we're going to cover today. So let's go to the tax requirement first. So actually the summarized spoken text, but it comes for both PTE core and PTE academics. And then what happens there is you need to listen to the audio and then you need to write the summary of the audio in your own words. That's what exactly the task requirement is. In terms of timing, like PTE academics, you will get 10 minutes, and for PTE core, you will get 8 minutes. So in terms of timing, in terms of form, for PTE academics, you need to write in between 50 to 70 words, whereas for the PTE core, you need to write on between only 20 to 30 words, right? So in terms of timing, right, for PTE academics, you will get 10 minutes, and PTE core, you will get 8 minutes. For PTE core, it is very much easy, I would say. If you can able to jot down two full sentences when taking the notes, and then when you write those two full sentences, you will already cross like 20 word band, right, target. So then it will be very easy for PTE core. For PTE academics, like you can write at least 3 to 4 meaningful sentences. Okay, so that's what the task requirement is. So in terms of marking criteria for PTE academics, please expect somewhere around 15 to 16 marks towards your writing, whereas 9 to 10 marks towards your listening. And PTE core also like around 10 to 12 marks towards your listening as well as writing. So expect that around your overall score, right? In terms of evaluation, you will be evaluated for content, form, grammar, vocabulary, and spelling for both for PTE core and PTE academics. It's just that for PTE academics, for content score, you will get 4 as a full marks, whereas for the PTE core, it is 2. And remaining form, grammar, vocabulary, and spelling, 2 each. So this is how you're gonna get your score. So what works in 2026, right? So this is one of the most frequently repeated questions that I have been asked by the students, right? So the first thing is, right, in order to do a very right, in order to get a very high score in summarized spoken text, your focus should also to understand, listen and understand the audio. So until and unless you are not able to understand the audio, you might not produce your good summary. So I would encourage, when you are taking the notes, try also to understand what exactly the audio is trying to say, so that in between you can write meaningful summary. Okay, talk about the common mistakes. Some of the common mistakes, one of the major common mistake that I could see, like most of the people are making, is using long memorized template and ignoring the key concept. So like, let's say the people are using like 70-80% of the template and only 20 to 30% of the content. If you are going to do this, then trust me guys, you will get a zero. You don't get any score, because templated responses are banned now. Okay, so what you need to do instead is try to focus and take meaningful notes, and then jot down those notes and use like 90% of your content as your notes, and then 10% as your template or structure, right? In terms of timing, right, so you will get like 10 minutes in PT academics and 8 minutes in PT core. So that time is already sufficient. If you don't use that time correctly, then you may also not get time to do proofreading at the end. For in PT academics, the overall timing is 10 minutes. So within that 10 minutes, the audio will be played, and you need to take the notes, and then you need to write meaningful sentences, and you need to proofread that, right? So how I do is, right, so that audio timer is timer, right? You cannot do out of it, right? So during that timer, you try to take correct notes, and then remaining 4 to 5 minutes, you write your summary from that notes and in meaningful sentences, and then remaining 3 to 4 minutes, you proofread as many times as you can, because until and unless you proofread, it's like you are not doing, right? So you will not able to identify your mistakes until and unless you do proofreading. So proofreading is very, very important. So during the proofreading, you will identify your grammar issues, your spelling issues, and a lot of errors, so that if you correct that errors, then the chances of getting a high score is there, I would say. So I would recommend you to write in 4 to 5 sentences for PT academics. The first sentences you can introduce about the topic and the main idea. Second, you say that firstly, or firstly, and then second, say you can say in addition, and then furthermore, and then however, if you want to put contrasting ideas, and in conclusion, by saying in conclusion, you conclude that your idea. So try to write at least 4 to 5 sentences, which is more than enough. The only template is that the first, in your first sentence, you can say dash 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 is the main idea, and then second, firstly, or it highlights that. So that is again the template. And then third one is in addition, and then you write your own, and then furthermore you write your own, and in conclusion and on write your own. So this is what the template is, or the structure or the skeleton, whatever you call it. So I'm going to paste that in the description section below or in the comment section below in this video, so you can take out of it. So in terms of PTE core, like there is no need for you to put any of those sentences. At least try to jot down two full sentences and then write those full sentences. In between you can use one conjunction says in addition and then finish it up. Just that, right? So you need to write in between 20 to 30 words. So if you write, like for example, if you take notes of two sentences around like 12, 10 to 12 words each, then you are already crossing that 20 word limit, right? So that's already well and good. You don't need to use anything. So in terms of taking notes, I would encourage, if possible, you write full sentences. If not, at least write at least 4 to 5 word phrases, so that it will be easier for you to form the sentences at the end. Then focus on the topic, key points, and relationship between ideas and conclusion. Don't, you can ignore things like example, dates, names, and etc. Like, so 60 to 80% of the lecture should be captured in a right way, so that it will be very easy for you to make a meaningful sentences at the end. So without wasting the time, so let's straight away go to one of the summarized spoken text question of APUNI. So let me share my screen, guys. Thank you.
The journey of globalization has been far smoother for goods than for services. The lack of globalization in your job can be attributed to the challenges involved in transporting services across borders, which is more complicated than shipping goods. This difference comes down to a fundamental characteristic. Services face difficulties in crossing borders due to the inherent nature of their delivery. We can understand this through two main arguments. First, many services require the physical presence of both the provider and the buyer at the same location and time. Second, overcoming the technical obstacles of bringing service providers from one country into contact with service buyers from another country has limited the globalization of services, compared to the globalization of goods. Thus, the focus of globalization has predominantly been on the production of physical goods rather than service-related activities. However, this old limitation is rapidly disappearing. The advent of digital technology is revolutionizing this landscape by enabling individuals in one nation to easily conduct activities in another.
Okay, so now see, this is my notes, right? So I was able to write notes within between 1 minute and let's say write 10 20 seconds, right? So now I'll write the lecture LEC theory was about globalization, GLOBLA, global is about globalization, GLOBLA, global. But so let me note down, the lecture was about services and goods, and also about globalization, global, globalization. Firstly, the journey of goods and services is like the transportations. In addition, transportation of services is complicated than goods of because of their inherent nature. In addition, services physical presence. In addition to main, right? Service and physical presence and technological obstacle. In addition, technological obstacles and the requirement for physical presence of buyers and sellers are are main problems. Okay. In conclusion, in conclusion, advent of digital technology, advent of digital technology, technology has made shipping easier. Okay. EASIER. So more than enough, right? How much I have written? Oh, 64, more than enough. Yeah. So now let's put this here and then let's check one by one, right? The lecture was about services and goods and also about services and goods and also about globalization, right? Globalization, Globalization, yeah, globalization, right? About globalization. Firstly, the journey, the journey of goods and services. Services is like the transportation is the services. So we need to write a meaningful sentences. Firstly, the journey of goods and services. The journey of goods and services, right? So firstly, the journey of goods of services is called transportation, right? It's called transportation. The journey of goods and services is called transportation. Okay, so this is meaningful sentences. Now, in addition, transportation of services is complicated than goods because of their inherent nature. Need to remove this there, because of their inherent nature, right? In addition, technological obstacles, TCSNOLOGI, technological obstacles, and the requirement for physical presence of buyers and sellers are main problems. In conclusion, the advent of technology has made shipping easier. Okay, so more than enough. So I'm going to remove this one, right? So how much, even if I'm getting 1 or 2 marks less, it doesn't matter. Okay, so let's see. The lecture was about services and goods and also about globalization, including, so I'll say again, including including globalization. Okay, so more, no problem. The lecture was about services and goods including globalization. Firstly, the journey of goods and services is called transportation. The journey of goods and services from one country to another. So I just put it right because it is called transportation, right? So that's okay. 66. It's called from one country to another. It's called transportation. In addition, transportation of services is complicated than goods because of their inherent nature. In addition, technological obstacles and the requirement for physical presence of buyers and sellers are main problems. In conclusion, the advent of digital technology has made shipping easier. So last one final check. The lecture was about services and goods, including globalization. Global globalization. Firstly, the journey of goods and services from one country to another is called transportation. 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 See, so there was a mistake, right? Transportation. In addition, transporta. In addition, transportation of services is complicated than transportation, right? In addition, transportation of services is complicated than goods because of their inherent nature. Because of their, in addition, technological TCS and technological obstacles and technological technical TCS and ICEL technical obstacles. In addition, technical TCS technical obstacles and the requirement for physical presence of buyers and sellers are main problems. In conclusion, the advent of digital technology. In conclusion, the advent of digital technology has made shipping easier. Has made shipping easier. So it doesn't matter, like even if you use American or British. Okay, see how much score I'm getting. Okay, so I got right full marks. So four out of four content, form, grammar, spelling, vocabularies, right? So this is how you gonna write or do your summarize spoken text in the right way. The key takeaway here is, guys, so you need to listen and understand the audio. That's the first requirement. And the second is taking notes. So while taking notes, if you are able to, I would recommend you to take like full sentences as a notes, at least 3 to 4 full sentences, and then you can jot down those sentences to make meaningful sentences. And then if not, at least 3 to 4 word phrases, so that you can also make meaningful sentences out of those phrases, right? And then I would recommend you to write around 60 to 67 words, so that your content score will maximize. And then when you are writing, at least try to write 90% of the content and only 10% of your structure or template or whatever you call it, right? And then you need to ensure that you make zero spelling and grammar error. If you can do that, then you will get a full marks in summarized spoken text.